Hey YouTube, today we're going to be comparing three different rifles, and these three different rifles shoot the two most common rounds that people use in sporting rifles. The two rounds that we're referring to is the 7.62 by 39 or the 5.56 NATO, which is also called a 223. And before we get started, I'm going to let everybody know that every one of these actions are open. They all three have empty magazines in them, and every action is open, so we know that all of them have been safety checked and nobody can get hurt. Now, the ones that we have here in front of you we have a Mini 14. The middle one we have a AK-47, and the top one we have an AR-15. The AR-15 is chambered in 5.56. The AK-47 in the middle is chambered in 7.62 by 39, and the Mini 14 is chambered in 223, but it will shoot 5.56. They are very similar rounds, the 5.56 and 223. Now, all three of these rifles are vastly popular. All three of them have their advantages and disadvantages, and they are of cult followings to each and every one of them. So I'm going to go through each one of them, what they shoot, how they operate, and tell you some of the advantages and disadvantages to them. So we're going to start with the bottom one here. This is a Mini 14. This is a 1980s model folding stainless Mini 14. Now, one thing that's cool about this is it has this folding stock on it where it turns into a full-size 16-inch rifle. This is chambered in 223, and it will also shoot 5.56 in it. This rifle is very versatile. One of the disadvantages to it is it does not have a threaded barrel on the end of it, so you cannot put any kind of muzzle device on it or anything. And it's a very thin barrel. And one of the complaints to this thing was that it had, when the barrel heats up, you lose a lot of accuracy in this. Now, this action on this gun operates a lot like the M1 Garand or the M1A. So it's a very old type of action, and it's pretty reliable, but you're going to have a little bit of reliability issues on this one than you would like the AR-15. So this is not as easy to accessorize, so you're going to mainly rely on iron sights when you're shooting something like this. Capacity wise, it's going to be the same as the other two. This is a 40 round magazine, and you can get 40 round magazines for either the other two rifles as well. You can get drum magazines, you can get shorter magazines, more compact magazines. So capacity is all going to be the same on all of them. So that's not even going to be an issue. Now, when it comes to accessorizing them, there's not really much you can do with the Mini 14 without doing a whole lot more work and everything. But the Mini 14 is a proven gun. If you go on the cool factor alone, the Mini 14 is probably the best one. Now, the way these things operate also with the Mini 14, you're going to have your safety right here on the trigger guard. So a lot of people think that's kind of dangerous to take the safety off. You're putting your finger near the trigger. I don't have that problem because I'm not an idiot and I understand how to work firearms. Then you release the magazine, it's going to have your rock and lock system. So there's going to be a little hole in the front of it. Put it in and you rock it in. That's your magazine release on it. The next weapon up is going to be an AK-47. This one happens to be a Century Arms AK-47. It's fitted with some imitation Bakelite furniture on it, but it is a plain Jane AK-47. As you can see, there's nothing in it. Now, with the AK-47, you have a safety right here. Your safety is right here on the side. And this one happens to have a little cutout that locks the bolt open. If you do not have one that has that little cutout in it, the bolt does not stay open on the last round. And that's always been an issue with me. So I happen to get one that does have it. This is a 30 round magazine. They make 40 round ones also as well. It's not as easy to accessorize these either as it is an AR-15, but they do make optic mounts and everything like that. These are a little bit harder to break down than a conventional AR-15. These guns are not as accurate as an AR-15, but where you lose a little accuracy, you have a larger caliber round, and you also have almost a 100% reliability. It has a very similar way of releasing the magazine as the Mini 14. Kind of rocks into place. Safety's right here on the side, and pretty cut and dry, folks. AK-47, very popular rifle in today's times. They are getting a little expensive though. Now the very last one that we have here, this is an AR-15. This is also a pretty plain Jane one. This is just fitted with a carry handle that also has the iron sights built into it. Now these are very accurate, and the 5.56 NATO round is very common. This one has a thin barrel on it, but it's a threaded barrel where you can put any type of muzzle device on it. They're very easy to break down. These things, they like to be oiled up and ran very wet. They like a lot of lube on them, but if you do that, they seem to be very, very, very reliable. Now, advantages and disadvantages. Well, the Mini 14, I'm going to say, has a lot of disadvantages. It's kind of a dated design. It's not as easy to tear down. It's not as easy to work on. It does shoot a good caliber, but it's not as easy to modify, to put optics on it if you want to reach out a little bit further. I mean, you can do it. You can do it to all of them. It's just a common person is going to have a little bit of issues with them. They don't seem to run quite as reliable, and they're not quite as accurate as, like, let's say, a standard AR-15. The AK-47, I would say, is very reliable, but they're a little bit blocky. They take pretty much any ammo that you want to feed into it. You can use the cheapest steel type of ammo that, like Russian made Tulo ammo or something that they pretty much give away at any gun store. It'll eat it. These Mini 14s and the AR-15s are going to be a little bit more ammo dependent, especially the Mini 14. The Mini 14 is going to be very ammo dependent. So you're going to have to get really good magazines for them. The AKs, they'll pretty much eat anything you feed to them. We're going to lose a little bit of accuracy, but you're going to have a little bit larger caliber gun. You're going to have a little bit more knockdown power. If you could figure out how to put a good enough optic on it, probably reach out a little bit further with an AK, but you're going to deal a little bit more with the accuracy. In my opinion, the top one, the AR-15, is probably going to be the best all-around rifle in functionality. The disadvantages to it is you have to keep it clean, you have to keep it lubed. If you do both of those, it should run every bit as reliable as the AK-47. The AK-47 you don't have to take care of as much. Now, the 5.56 NATO round that goes in the AR-15 is going to be a lot more plentiful. If things were ever to go bad, I think you put your hands on 5.56 ammo a little bit better than you could 7.62 by 39. Same goes for the Mini 14. It'll shoot 5.56 NATO or the regular 223 rounds in them. So ammo finding is not going to be a problem. So if you want to break this down between all three of them, cool factor is going to go to the Mini 14. It looks cool. This one, like they had in the A-Team, the little show from the 80s. Nothing's cooler than a folding stainless Mini 14. The AK is going to be the reliability. I mean, you're not going to find a more reliable rifle, and you can pretty much put any kind of ammo through it. You're going to be fine. Now, you're going to lose a little bit of accuracy over the common AR-15, but reliability is never going to be an issue. You can run that thing through the mud. You can run it dry. It's going to run. Put regular steel ammo in it. It's going to run. The AR-15, It's going to be a little bit tighter put together than the AK, so you're going to get a lot more accurate of a rifle. The ammo is going to be easy to find, and as long as you lube it and take care of your rifle, which you should anyway, it will run just as reliable as the AK. You just got to remember that AR-15s like to run wet. And when I say wet, they like to be lubed up. So they all have their advantages, disadvantages. I don't think I like all three of them, so I haven't owned all three of them, but they all have their certain spots and everything. These are more like a nostalgia thing. These are more like I want my stuff to work, and these things are more like precision. So anyway, folks, if you have any questions on any of these three rifles, feel free to reach out, ask me. If I don't know the answer, I will find the answer for you. And anyway, folks, thank you very much for watching this video today, and you folks have a great day.